Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, August 5th, 2019. Today we're doing less baseball than we typically do. We're shifting the focus more towards football as the football season approaches. So I'm going to experiment with how to narrow down the baseball focus. Today, what I thought I would do is look at this day in history, see what games have links with this day in history. For example, the Mets could get their 27th win on this day in history. They're playing Miami. Miami's 27. The trick is they have a doubleheader. The Orioles could be a big upset today. They can get their 65th win on this day in history. They're facing the New York Yankees as big underdogs. New York Yankees 65. The Angels can get their 26th win on this day in history. They're facing the Reds. Reds 26. The Twins could get their 67th loss on this day in history. Braves 67. We've only been keeping track of this for 6 days. It's been a stat that's come through at a high ratio. If we just pick games based on this, we'd be up significantly. So we don't have a lot of history tracking it, but it's looking good so far. Like all things, it's not perfect, but so far the ratio is very good. Probably right about 70%. So we're going to look at this group of games plus one other, the Dodgers and the Cardinals, which a lot of people had interest in. And then the other thing we're going to look at is all the games that connect to today's date numerology. I want to pin down when the date numerology gets back on track. It's pretty much been off track since the All-Star break ended. So we're going to look at the games with the 25s and 52s on the board just to see what happens with those numbers tonight. But starting with this Marlins-Mets doubleheader, the Marlins just switched around their pitchers. They had Alcantara on the mound, but now they put in Duger, who they've just called up, who's making his debut, who pitched at Texas Tech. And you can see the Mets are gigantic favorites in this first game. They're not nearly as much favorites in the second game. If the Mets won both games today, if they won both in the doubleheader, the first game's their 112th, the next game's their 113th, which is the 30th prime number. If they won both games today, they'd get to 30 home wins by the conclusion of the 113th game, something to keep in mind. DeGrom has some concerns, though. The Marlins, if they upset, the riddle would have to be through DeGrom. DeGrom could get his 49th loss, Marlins 49, and he could become 6-8 on the season. Miami Marlins 68. So, a little bit tricky there. The Marlins are 4-7 versus the Mets this year as well. If they won that first game, they'd be 5-7. That big Mets number, Mets 57, New York Mets 57. If they lost both today, they'd be 4-9, Marlins 49. And based on the fact that the Mets can get their 27th win on this day in history, I would assume that they would win at least 1 or 2. If the Mets did get upset in the first game, I suspect they would take the second game. In the second game, Lockett could improve to 2-4 for his career. Mets is 24. So, thoughts for the first and second games of the doubleheader. This Yankees-Orioles game. So, again, the Orioles could get their 65th win on this day in history. New York Yankees 65. If Tanaka lost this game, he would get his 41st career loss. Baltimore's 41. He could fall to 7-7 on the season. Yankee Stadium 77. He finds himself going for his next decision there. And notice if he won, he would be 2-6. Yankees 26. Number we see a lot with the Yankees. Today can be written 5/8 like 58. Baltimore's 58. So an Orioles upset definitely not out of the question. If the Yankees do win 2 out of 3 in this series, they'll get to 41 wins. Baltimore is 41. And if they won all 3 games, if the Yankees swept the series, they'd get to 42 wins. Orioles is 42. That's in the AL East. Notice that the Orioles do take 1 of 3. They'd have 39 wins. New York, 39. Next loss at home's 39. The Angels and Reds game, again, we're going off this day in history. The Angels could get their 26th win on this day in history, and Reds equals 26. If Taylor Cole won today, he would improve to 2-2. Angels is 22. If he lost, he'd be 1-3. LA 13. This is going to be the 15th game between these teams. The Reds are 4-10 versus the Angels, so they've struggled against the Angels in history. They are 3-3 at home. They're even there. if either team ended up winning both of these games of this 2-game series, they'd become 5-3 in Cincinnati versus the opponent. Los Angeles is 53. If they split, Reds is 44. We just saw the 44 play twice with the Reds in their series with the Braves. The Reds are 0-2 versus the Angels in 2019. They lost in LA. If they split at home, they could become 1-3. LA 13. If they won both, they could get to 2-2. Angels 22. The Reds are 6-9 versus the Angels. Or this is supposed to be versus the AL, not the Angels. Reds are 6-9 versus the AL. If they did win, they'd be 7-9, kind of like 79, the 22nd prime. Angels 22. But again, this day in history has been a pretty good indicator so far, and because of that, I would lean Angels. So while we're narrowing down our focus and just looking at a smaller group of games each day, again, maybe we can learn more this way. Maybe it'll make it easier to focus on key sets of variables such as this day in history. But we're watching to see how all of the this day in history games turn out. Soroka, we talked about this possibility, him going into Minnesota and becoming 13-3. Minnesota's 133. Remember, Minnesota could get their 67th loss on this day in history, and Braves is 67. So that agrees with Soroka's record. Odorizzi, nothing real clear in his record. He's at 19 wins with Minnesota. Braves is 67, the 19th prime. He's at 59 wins. Braves is 59 if you use the exception. It's 131 days after Odorizzi's birthday. It's the 32nd prime. Twins is 32. Looks like I might have forgotten to do Mike Soroka's birthday. How did that happen? Oh, never mind. It's one day before his birthday. Oh, it's because I wrote... Okay, yeah. No, it's all good. Apologies. Baldelli, it's 314 days after his birthday, that pie thing. And this will be the 17th game. The Twins are on 7 wins versus the Braves. 17, the 7th prime. Do they stay on it in the 17th game? If the Twins did win, they could be 8-9 versus the Braves. Atlanta Braves is 89. If the Twins dropped 2 in a row to the Braves could become 8-5 at Minnesota, and Twins is 85. Braves would have to win 2 in a row. The Braves are 4-4 versus the AL. The Twins are 5-7 versus the NL. If they won, they'd be 6-7. Braves is 67. If they lost, they'd be 5-8 on August 5th. You could say the NL would be 8-5 versus the Twins. Twins 85. So you can make an argument either way. But this day in history favors the Braves. Now, this game doesn't have to do with this day in history, but a lot of people are interested in this game, so I said I would see what I could find. Waka for the Cardinals is 6-4 on the season. If he won, he'd be 7-4. St. Louis is 74. That magic number. Gonsolin for the Dodgers doesn't have a lot of history. Very beatable pitcher, inexperienced. The Dodgers are 0-4 versus the Cardinals this year. All those games were played in St. Louis, but the Cardinals have handled the Dodgers well. That said, if the Dodgers won today, they would be 1-4. LA's 14. St. Louis is 43, the 14th prime. So that's concerning going against the Waka stat. The Cardinals are 10-7 versus the NL West. If they won today, they would be 11-7. Dodgers is 117. The Cardinals are 51-41 versus the NL. If they could win 2 in a row and get to 53-41, it'd be kind of like an LA tribute. Los Angeles 53, LA 41. And the Dodgers are 71-34 versus the NL. If they drop 2, they'd get to 36 losses. Cardinals is 36. If they won 3, they could get to 74. St. Louis is 74. So I'd say this is a pretty iffy game. The head-to-head record makes me think LA, but Waka at 7-4, definitely not out of the question. And, one other thing I could do real quick here. I was just wondering if Waka might face the Pirates next. That was the exact thought I was having. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like he should face the Pirates probably Sunday, August 11th. The reason I was thinking that is because Pittsburgh Pirates is 84, and if he wins, he'd have a chance to get to 8-4 versus the Pirates. So we just saw the Pirates win 8-4 on the anniversary of the death of Thurman Lee Munson, a name that equals 84. He was sacrificed for the Pirates World Series that year. So it's still a little bit iffy because of the head-to-head, but I'd say those are two, nice things in Wacha's corner, that he could get to 7-4 and have a shot to get to 8-4 versus the Pirates. Now, seeing if the date numerology gets on board, here's all the things to watch for today at the date numerology. The Mets can get their 25th loss versus the NL East. Today has 25 date numerology. So if the Mets split, remember that. They'd get their 25th loss versus the NL East. The Brewers can get their 25th loss in the NL Central today. And the Brewers, they face the Pirates. Notice either team could get the 25 in the win column too. Pirates could get their 25th home win. Brewers could get their 25th away win. The way it would make sense on both sides is if the Brewers did beat the Pirates. Tampa Bay, you know what? Let's just go a little bit further. MLB teams. You guys have asked me to take it easy and focus on less baseball, but man, there's a part of me that's like, man, I wish I decoded every single game today like I normally did. But because you can always tell more by looking deeper. But the Pirates and the Brewers, I just want to see what their record is against each other this year to see if we can get something real quick in the head-to-head record. Pittsburgh Pirates, Milwaukee Brewers. Pirates are 164 and 197, 98 and 82 at home. And see what they are for this year. See if we can get something in the head-to-head record for this year that would make sense today. So the Pirates have 4 wins right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they're 4-9 versus the Brewers this year. Pittsburgh does equal 59. And at home they are what? They have 1 win at home, 3 wins at home, and how many losses? 1, 2, 3, 4. 3-4 at home. Pirates is 34. Milwaukee's 53. So you could make an argument either way there. Milwaukee could become 5-3 in Pittsburgh. But again, the way that it would make sense for the 25s to hit on both sides would be for the Pirates to win. And if that did happen, that could set up a little win streak for the Pirates. The Pirates have been playing really bad lately. Facing pretty good Brewers teams, so see how that trend continues. Tampa Bay, they can get their 25th loss versus the AL East today. They're facing Toronto. And the Blue Jays could also stay on 25 away wins. That's the way the 25 could go against the Blue Jays. The A's have a chance to stay on 25 losses today versus the Cubs. It's also a 52-date numerology. The Cubs could pick up the 52nd loss. When the date numerology is on, these are the things that come through. When it's off, can't count on it. The Phillies, they could get their 25th away win today, and the Diamondbacks could stay on 25 home wins. Philadelphia's 97, the 25th prime. And the Giants could stay on 25 home wins. We know Giants is 25, big number with them. The 52s today, the Reds can stay on 52 wins. That would go with the Angels winning, which is favored on this day in history. Again, we saw the Cubs could pick up the 52nd loss. And the Cardinals could also stay on 52 losses. That would go with the Michael Wacha riddle. Now, the other games that we didn't cover, I didn't cover. I am scaling down how much baseball we're doing right now to begin focusing more on the NFL as the season comes up. Tomorrow, I'm going to do the golf decode. Man called in this week. He said he won a bunch of money on the tournament. He won $2,000. He was very happy, and he says he just wishes I had the decode out a day earlier because he would have liked to comb over his notes more, and he wonders if he could have done even better. And you know, it's always good to have more time to analyze. So I am going to get the golf decode out a day early. So I will get out the golf decode on Tuesday. And I'll try to do that going forward just to give people more time to think about it. We're already doing good with golf, but always nice to get even better. And I still got a bunch of football decoding left to do. I said I was going to do a live stream this evening for football. I'm going to cancel that. Apologies. Something came up. Have to take the sweet lady somewhere for the times I said I wanted to do it. So the good news is we still got plenty of time before football's underway. I'm going to try to finish the post I'm working on right now and get that out so you guys can start looking at it before we have our live discussion. Maybe you'll see something in it I missed. But again, for the time being, we're just going to have a lesser focus on baseball, see if we can dial in on this day in history. Again, it could be a great way to just pick a small group of games each day and be very successful. So we're trying to figure out. And still doing the live streams in the morning, so please call in. That's the time to make requests. Talk about whatever's on your mind, whatever you caught. Maybe looking through, you know, the paper, the magazine, web articles, the TV. So just shifting here a little bit in August as football season gears up. And again, you guys did vote that you wanted to focus on football, not baseball. So hopefully everyone's happy. And we'll leave it there for today. So good luck, Truth Seeker. Be back for the live stream same time tomorrow. And then in the afternoon time, we'll do the golf live stream. And we'll start the football live stream, the dedicated football live stream, very soon. But for the meantime, the morning live stream is a good time to call in and talk about stuff just like we did today. All right. Until next time, Truth Seeker.